Greetings and welcome to Nathan Lyle Official, and if you have never seen my face before in a video, I am Nathan Lyle. This is my personal channel, and the video you're watching right now is on a playlist called Anime Corner. What is Anime Corner? Well, it's where every time a simulcast season ends, I talk about all the anime that I watched, and I tell you which ones I think you are worth checking out. And this specific video, I just titled it Leftovers because after I made all of the other segments, I just couldn't figure out where exactly to place some of these. So here's everything that didn't fit into the other categories. I wasn't sure where they went. The first one we're going to talk about is Rampo Kitan, Game of Laplace. It's to commemorate the, I think, 50th anniversary of something Edogawa. I'm sorry. There's a famous author named Edogawa, famous for his mystery novels apparently, who I'd actually never heard of him before the show started, but apparently he is pretty famous, and if these stories are based off of some of his, I think his stuff would be worth checking out. It's a pretty interesting one. I don't have a lot to compare it to. I don't generally watch this kind of like dark mystery thriller type thing. I think the only other thing I've seen like this would be like Danganronpa. And so, I liked Danganronpa, and I definitely love this. It's got a great story, and it's got very interesting characters, good plot twist. It's one that's worth giving its shot. Watch a few episodes and see if you can't get into it. But I'm gonna be honest, if you don't like it after the first 3 episodes, it might not be worth your time. But I honestly think it's an amazing show that just keeps getting better, one episode to the next. But that being said, it's not for everyone, but I definitely love the art style. It's got great animation, great character drawings. It's just, and it's just a very interesting the way that these different characters look at the world, and it's one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I really sincerely did. And then next we have Aoharu and Machinegun, which, let's be honest, it's basically a sequel to Orange High School Host Club, because it starts with a girl in high school, except she has short hair and she dresses in the boys' uniform. One day she goes to a host club where she destroys a bunch of stuff, and in order to pay it back, she has to be the servant of the playboy host. And that's just episode 1. The rest of the series, though, it ends up being this kind of interesting thing about how she has, in order to pay off her debt, she joins his team, Toy Gun, and they enter survival games where people just take fake guns and shoot each other in the forest. It's a pretty decent anime. It is kind of fun. I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it. There are times where I felt like they're trying hard to make it exciting. I can tell that they're working to make this an interesting character. It's just, I just felt like I felt like it was just lacking. I mean, there were interesting characters, it was an interesting storyline, but overall it just wasn't fun. It just wasn't one that I was ever excited to look at. It's one that I was okay sitting through it, but I don't know if I could marathon through the entire series again. I don't know if I could ever plan on rewatching this one. But I mean, I wouldn't argue to try and sway you away from watching it, but I just cannot recommend it. And then moving on, we have Gate, which the full title in Japan would be Gate and So the Defense Force Fought, or something along those lines. It's a pretty long one. Thankfully in America they just call it Gate. And long story short, this one's also kind of harem-y. It's got a lot of those elements to it. It starts with a gate randomly opens in the middle of Japan in a shopping district where an otaku happens to be, and when he sees this invasion happening, he jumps into action, saves people's lives, and now Japan has put together a defense force which goes through the gates to establish a base in this other land, and they're trying to form a friendly relationship with the people of this whole new world that they've discovered. And basically you got this guy who's just a lazy otaku who has somehow risen in the ranks, and now he's leading the expeditionary force, and they're meeting all these new creatures, mages, elves, they're fighting off dragons and stuff. It's a fairly interesting one, and I enjoyed. There's some good twists and turns. There are some interesting characters. I can't say that it's an anime for everyone. There are people that are sure to love it, but this is one that I could recommend. I think it is worth taking a look at it. Look at a few episodes. You might find it interesting. It is definitely one that I enjoy on a regular basis. But I can also understand why people don't like it, because there are areas where I feel it's lacking. But I loved it. I personally loved just about everything about it. Just about. There are things here and there that I have issues with, but I think looking at the anime as a whole, overall, I feel it's worth it. Then we go on to Castletown Dandelion, which I don't even know how to describe it. It's about, honestly, I just have trouble even the premise in general. Basically, you have this king who lives in this, he's the king of a city, and he's got like 7 kids, I think. And they're gonna have an election to decide who's gonna be the next king, and so they're out campaigning to get the people to vote for them, while at the same time also having to live their lives, going to school and stuff. And you know, it looks at all the different kids. There's one daughter in particular that the story mainly focuses on, but in each of the children has their own episode where they get to shine. You know, it's split up into like segments, and it's a decent show. It's fun to watch. It's got interesting characters. You get to see some growth as the series progresses, but it's also another one of those that, like, yeah, it's fun when it's on, but when it's not, It's one that it's worth checking out. You can look at it, see if you like it. Otherwise, you know, you're not missing much by skipping out on it. It's not the worst one out there, but there are others that I feel are more worth it. It's got some sequences in there that are definitely it has its moments. It's a show that it has its moments, but you know, if you're it's definitely not one that I'd recommend necessarily marathoning through. But yeah, feel free to check out a few episodes here and there. And then we move on to the last one I'm going to talk about, which Monster Musume, Everyday Life with Monster Girls. And this is a harem anime, and unfortunately it's everything bad about harem animes and nothing good about it. I mean, to begin with, it's just about a guy who, the world that they live in is like, oh, the government has kept it secret that there are all these monster people, and now suddenly there's a guy who supposedly in high school, even though he never actually goes to school, and I don't know if he has a job, but somehow he's got enough money to afford feeding all these people that are being forced into his house, which, you know, fuck you. You're not going to bring a living person to my house without my permission and tell me I am forced to take her in and have her live with me. Like, what the hell? I mean, just Agent Smith deserves to be fired. I know she's half snake, but how the hell do you bring like a living person to the wrong house? Just imagine somebody knocking on your door. It's like, here's your mail order bride from China, and you're like, I didn't order that. Well, too bad. She's here. You're keeping her. Bye. That's just so stupid. And so from the very beginning, I had issues with it. I gave it a chance. It didn't get any better. I mean, there are moments where it's funny, but it's also just really stupid overall. I mean, like, and this is coming from someone who generally loves harem anime. I mean, there are a lot of great harem anime that I think are really worth checking out. But this one just falls so short, and just, I just think it's so wrong. And then you've got, like, all these different half-human creature girls who keep falling in love with him, and they keep basically raping him on a daily basis and almost accidentally killing him every time they try to rape him, and he's just okay with all of it. And it's just honestly, unless you're just really, really into harem animes and you're really, really into bestiality, this is one that's okay for you to skip. In fact, avoid it at all costs. Which one should you watch? Well, my top 3, definitely Rampo Kitan. That's one that I feel like you have to see it. I can't guarantee that everyone's going to love it, but it is one that's worth sitting through. I feel like it is definitely a masterpiece. There are times when it's hard to take in, but it's a very just beautiful show, and I love it. I really do. And the other two, I'd say Gate and maybe Castletown Dandelion, those are tied for second. So yeah, be sure to check some of those out. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Have you seen any of these anime? Did you like it? If not, do any of them sound interesting? Are you planning on watching them? And be sure to check out some of the other channels on some of the other videos on my channel or on this playlist. And until you see me again, my name is Nathan Lyle. Have a great day. Enjoy it. Enjoy your night. It's almost 11.